Finally, at the age of 86, Dolores Hart spills the beans about Elvis Presley. The artist and activist Dolores Hart came from a family that encouraged her imagination and moral compass. Her birth name was Dolores Hicks. She was born on October 20, 1938, in Chicago, Illinois. Hart's early life was influenced by her strict Catholic upbringing and the strong bond she had with her family. These experiences made her compassionate, disciplined, and driven to find purpose in her work. She began her preparation for a career in acting at Mundelein College, a women's liberal arts institution in Chicago, where she excelled academically and developed an appreciation for the arts. Hart's cinematic career took off like a rocket, despite its short duration. She became famous for her gracefulness, charisma, and mesmerizing performances after signing a deal with Paramount Pictures, a prominent studio of the era. She appeared in films like King Creole, 1958, and Loving You, 1957, with Elvis Presley, two of Hollywood's biggest stars, and the two of them had great chemistry on screen. Her acting chops were on full display in these roles, and she was soon named a Hollywood rising star. Audiences were captivated by her graceful film presence and irresistible charisma, while critics lauded her genuineness and compassion in her roles. The young romance comedy, Where the Boys Are, in which Dolores Hart featured in 1960, was a smashing success and a window into the generation's hopes, dreams, and nervous energy as it awaited societal revolution. Audiences and critics were captivated by Hart's portrayal in the film, which highlighted her charisma and screen presence. Her performance struck a balance between vulnerability and elegance. Her performance showcased her aptitude for balancing humorous timing with tragic sensitivity, solidifying her position as one of Hollywood's rising young stars. Traits that will characterize her brief but iconic acting career. During this time, Hart's ascent to stardom brought attention to her stunning good looks, gracefulness, and composure, qualities that served her well in parts that called for a mix of purity and complexity. In 1961, Hart continued her successful acting career with the religious biopic Francis of Assisi, in which she played the difficult part of Saint Clare of Assisi. Hart was able to go into a darker and more spiritually complex persona with this production, a notable change from the lighter fare of Where the Boys Are. Hart provided compassion and depth to the role of Saint Clare, who needed to be shown with great faith and devotion, as well as inner strength and moral courage. In Francis of Assisi, Hart was able to let his creative side shine through in ways that had nothing to do with acting. She showed her reflective and imaginative side by drawing a statue of Saint Francis, which became famous. Beyond its creative merit, this sketch revealed Hart's profound involvement with the film's philosophical and spiritual concerns, revealing an introspective side that extended well beyond her Hollywood reputation. During this period, Hart's artistic sensibility and introspection started to influence her career decisions more strongly, paving the way for her to retire from filmmaking and devote herself fully to her faith. After this, Hart showed her acting flexibility once again by playing the lead role of Lisa in the dramatic film The Inspector, based on the novel by Jan de Harto. Hart had the opportunity to play a character that navigated issues of love, morality, and resilience in the film, which was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Picture Drama. Hart won praise for her nuanced portrayal of Lisa, proving once and for all that she is an actor who can handle highly tragic and romantic roles with equal aplomb. Instead of depending just on glitz and star power, her performance in The Inspector demonstrated her dedication to parts that probed human intricacy and emotional sincerity. In 1963, she made an appearance as Kathy Maywood in the episode, The Mountain of the Sun, of the hit TV Western series, The Virginian. Hart played a Catholic missionary in this moving narrative whose character put her faith and the mission of her late husband on the line to help a group of Native Americans who were sick and poor and caught in the chaos of the frontier. This job was monumental for Hart because it gave her the chance to combine her acting with a portrayal of spiritual devotion and unselfish moral courage, qualities that echoed her own inner journey. Her performance hit a lot of chords, capturing the struggle between vulnerability and faith and the profound empathy needed to help the downtrodden. Shown on April 17, 1963, a month after her last film appearance in Come Fly With Me, alongside Hugh O'Brien. This appearance on The Virginian marked Hart's last released acting role. She began her amazing vocation as a Roman Catholic nun at this last phase of her acting career, which marked not only her artistic maturity, but also a subtly profound transition toward a life devoted to spirituality, marking the end of her Hollywood chapter. Amidst the allure and potential of a thriving career in Hollywood, made a remarkable and transformative choice that would shape her reputation in an incredibly distinct manner. She left the film industry at the height of her career to become a Benedictine nun, driven by a profound spiritual urge. She began her lifelong journey of reflection, service, and prayer in 1963 when she entered the Bethlehem, Connecticut Abbey of Regina Laudes. Many found it incredible and uplifting that they could go from Hollywood to the austere setting of a monastery, because it demonstrated an unusual bravery to prioritize one's personal beliefs over material prosperity and fame. Many others could relate to her decision, which showed how important it is to follow one's heart and strive for greater meaning in life. The naming of Dolores Hart as prioress of the Abbey of Regina Laudes, a prominent post within the Benedictine monastic community, in 2001 marked a key turning point in her religious life. A new era of leadership and stability began for the Abbey with Mother David Cerna's election as the second abbess of Regina Laudes, and this appointment occurred soon after. Hart had a lot on her plate as prioress, from managing the day affairs of the monastery to fostering the spiritual development of the community and seeing to it that the Abbey's ancient practices of quiet reflection, public worship, and creative expression were preserved. She exemplified the Benedictine principles of service, obedience, and stewardship during her stint as prioress, which she held with humility and devotion until 2015. The sisters' contributions to music, drama, and the arts, influenced by Hart's early experiences in the film and performing industries, ensured that the Abbey thrived under her direction as both a religious and cultural institution. Breakfast with Mother Dolores Hart was a public event held on October 4, 2008, and was sponsored by the Holy Trinity Apostolate, an organization founded by the acclaimed theologian Reverend John Hardin, S.J. Hart was asked to tell her remarkable experience at the event. A gathering of clergy, laypeople, and Hart admirers gathered at Rochester, Michigan's posh Royal Park Hotel for the occasion. In her speech titled, "He Led Me Out into an Open Space," she mentioned that her true love was the reason he saved her. An intimate and profoundly personal perspective on the tremendous spiritual experiences that led Mother Dolores Hart to abandon a prosperous career in Hollywood. Hart shared her journey with Regina Laudes, who gives her life completely to God. Numerous books, documentaries, and interviews have praised Dolores Hart for her remarkable life, which includes her transition from movie star to devout nun, Her 2011 documentary God is the Bigger Elvis, which won an Oscar nomination and introduced her moving narrative to a new generation, details her life split between the monastery and Hollywood. Hart's story has inspired many to examine their own lives and the things they value most by serving as a moving testimony to perseverance, faith, and being true to oneself. Throughout her life, Hart made periodic appearances in the spotlight, sharing her story through lectures, interviews, and her biography, The Ear of the Heart, where she openly discussed her time in Hollywood, her choice to become a monk, and her continuing spiritual path. Secular and religious societies alike admire and revere her for her profound understanding of human nature, her remarkable courage, and her insightful observations. Dolores Hart, who had been mum for a long time about her complex and unusual relationship with Elvis Presley, suddenly spoke up about it at the age of 86, clearing the air and putting to rest rumors and speculation. Her life has always seemed like two distinct but intertwined eras, thanks to her unusual blend of Hollywood glitz and subsequent religious commitment. A Hollywood actress at the center of 1960s pop culture and a devoted nun committed to a cloistered existence in the Abbey of Regina Laudis in Connecticut. Elvis Presley is widely considered the greatest famous American musician of all time, and people have always been curious about her relationship with him. This is in part due to the fact that their brief romance occurred during the height of their respective careers. Hart has used the chance to shed light on the intricacies of their relationship, exposing previously undisclosed details in interviews, films, and her newly published biography. "It was never something I wanted to talk about lightly," she added. Despite her composed demeanor, her decades-long contemplation was palpable in her speech. "There was a period when Elvis and I were quite close, and for some reason, everyone has sought to make our romance into a Hollywood soap opera. It went well beyond that, though. Both of our hearts were profoundly affected by the friendship, which went beyond mere adoration and touched us in ways that the general public would never comprehend." In 1956, Dolores Hart met Elvis Presley for the first time. At the age of 18, she had already started to carve out a bright future for herself in Hollywood. During his peak, Elvis was famous for his dynamic onstage persona, thrilling performances, and the zeal of his devoted followers, which frequently resulted in mayhem wherever he performed. There was an instant connection between Hart and Elvis, the self-controlled, beautiful young actress, and Elvis, the unfiltered, defiant musician, despite the obvious contrasts in their respective career paths. According to Hart, Elvis was completely different from everyone he had ever encountered. Behind all the passion, there was a warmth and gentleness that wasn't immediately apparent. While everyone else saw the rock and roll superstar, I saw a hilarious, sympathetic man, and extremely kind. According to Hart, that first encounter was life-altering. It was more than just two rising stars crossing paths. It was the meeting point of two universes that couldn't have been more different. With their respective demands for public perfection, and their respective hiding places of private frailties, their bond flourished rapidly. While they were apart, they spent time together on set, at parties, and in letters. Hart has been quite clear that their relationship was more than just a Hollywood hookup. Even though it had romantic overtones, she did concede that there was attraction. Being understood and having connection were more important. In private, he revealed a level of emotion and intellect that few had ever seen, despite his immensely light-hearted nature. Hart also remembers how Elvis honored her religious beliefs and personal space. Despite the fact that the media and Hollywood were always trying to pin down their relationship, Elvis had this knack for making you feel entirely visible, as if your ideas mattered, even while everyone else was just interested in the image he created. She revealed, providing a rare glimpse into his private character. His humility has always been something I respected. However, their bond was not without its twists and turns. Many were surprised, and Elvis's relationship with Hart changed course when she decided to join the convent, leaving behind her flourishing Hollywood career. Her honest reflection on the decision's effects on their lives reveals that following God's way was not about turning her back on him, but rather about welcoming a bigger blessing than either of them had anticipated. That was something that Elvis, to his credit, grasped with an incredibly mature and caring understanding. He had no ill will against me. When I followed my calling, he never once made me feel bad about it. This recognition shows that Hart has always been dedicated to her spiritual journey, and that she has always loved and respected Elvis as a guy who, despite his celebrity and the distractions of the world, had a special gift for understanding and empathy. Also shown by heartfelt accounts is the reciprocal impact they had on one another. Despite its relative brevity in the context of her life, she frequently remarks on how her encounters with Elvis shaped her outlook on life and the importance of human connection. Unbeknownst to him, he showed me that life can be both humorous and serious, deep and lighthearted. As she reflected, she realized that those teachings remain with her to this day. Simultaneously, Elvis caught a glimpse of grace and security in Hart, whose steadfast dignity and controlled lifestyle stood in stark contrast to the chaos of his public life. More than just retelling a Hollywood incident, Hart has unveiled these depths of their bond. She has given humanity to a mythologized figure by demonstrating that even the rock and roll king felt vulnerable, connected emotionally, and respected the choices of others. Decades later, Hart sits in contemplation and gets ready to disclose her experiences in detail. But she doesn't do it to glorify the past. Rather, she does it to pay tribute to it. My desire to disclose the truth has kept me silent these years, not animosity or nostalgia. Our bond was profound, and Elvis was fantastic. Fans of both Hart and Elvis will find this revelation to be more than just an interesting story. It is a demonstration of how friendship, respect, and emotional honesty can transcend the show of fame and provide an insight into the intimate, unguarded moments of two extraordinary lives. I want people to know that behind the legend, there was a human being capable of deep love, humor, and sensitivity, she concluded.